Reese. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't see your title, but Dr. Dominique Reese. Um, this is Fly Nubian Money. You can find us here every Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. Eastern. You can text the words 89748 to Queen. I'm sorry, text the word Queens to 87948 so that you can get notified when we are live every weekday, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock. So let's get into our topic today. Sheree Whitfield, if we can get that slide up, was uh, recently received her second honorary doctorate, a doctor of philosophy in business administration entrepreneurship from Harvard Christian University. Her response: I am truly honored and grateful to receive my second doctorate degree. This current honorary doctorate is from Harvard Christian University. I want to thank God, my family, friends, and supporters for always rooting for me in this journey called life. I never thought I would be saying Dr. Sheree Whitfield ever. But that goes to show you that the man above has the final say. If God is with you, who could be against you? So then, of course, when you post something online, you're going to get comments. And so these are some of the comments that were left for her after that post. Congratulations. To be clear, people with an honorary doctorate do not use the title of doctor. An honorary degree is awarded in recognition of one's contributions to their field and their impact on society. Someone else says she is not no damn doctor of philosophy, LOL. Someone else says Sheree does not have a high school diploma. Make it make sense. Not being shady, but what has she done to merit an honorary degree? And somebody else said honorary doctorates are a disgrace to those of us that worked hard to earn them. Essence also chimed in, saying, for years I've watched celebrities of varying stature be given honorary degrees to which the school officials say is because of their life's work. While some celebs definitely fit this description, others do not. With that, it's not surprising Whitfield's latest honorary degree moved some onlookers to share their discontent. I understand that receiving a degree of that kind is merely a vanity measure and doesn't hold any educational weight, but it can feel like a bit of disrespectful to the people who sacrifice money and sometimes their mental health to complete rigorous degree programs. So before I get to the ladies and the queens on the platform in the chat, what do you guys think about this situation? Tell us what you think. Definitely want to hear from you. I want you guys to weigh in so we can see what you guys think. But I'm going to come into the queens first. What was your thought when you first heard this, Dr. Alicia?
I looked her up, and she's an entrepreneur. So yeah, and she has several successful businesses. That's my understanding when I looked her up. And yeah, it makes sense that she would get an honorary doctorate in entrepreneurship at this university. I don't know the university, but I love that whole concept of someone who has gone out in the world and done really fabulous things. They give a commencement speech and they're given this honorary doctorate. Now, for her to be able to claim that she can walk around and now call her Dr. Sheree, hold tight now. You cannot have that claim and then put that on your social media and use that as a marketing tool to market yourself as someone who has a doctorate. So I think that the honorary doctorate idea is a beautiful idea. I love that universities recognize people who excel in their field, but when you receive one of those, you just have to keep in mind what it means. They're just making you queen for the day. It's like the city of Chicago can honor somebody by saying you're a mayor for the day. That doesn't mean you can walk around saying I'm mayor of Chicago and put that on your resume. No, it's a wonderful gift to recognize someone who's achieved in this way. But in terms of walking around saying that you're a doctorate, no, I don't think you can do that.
Sorry, trying to come off of mute. Okay. Constance, your first one. What were your thoughts when you first heard?
Whoa, mayor for the day? Dang, a Disneyland doctorate. Is that what you're saying, Dr. Alicia? No, all of you all are, I see everyone on here is a doctor, right? Everybody but me. But you guys know I do have a PhD, a public high school diploma. So I may not necessarily have gone to higher education because that's the only thing that I have. But I think y'all need to call me Dr. Constance too. No, really, I think the idea of a doctorate or an honorary doctorate, I think it's novel. But I think people sometimes take it too serious and act like they're really like they've really put in the hours. And I know good and god dang well I ain't put in the hours that it takes to have some type of doctorate degree. You know, my dad barely graduated from high school, right? Barely could read and write when he got out of came out of Vietnam. And some pastor he was under, he's like a minister. Some pastor he was under, everybody at the church was getting doctors. He was like, "What the hell is that? Everybody, they just giving to everybody." And so I think it kind of cheapens, the idea of having a doctorate based upon merit and education and work and rigor and all of the things that go into actually having some type of doctorate degree. That's a lot, and I get tired of just thinking about all the things y'all had to do to acquire this. So to think that I could just pay somebody, I have a friend that's getting ready to go get one in August. Bless her heart, I love her to death. And she told me the lineup. It's a lot of celebrities who are getting their doctorate as well at this commencement celebration in August. So, if all I gotta do is throw a couple $100, I'll take one. Why not?
I think it's a couple thousand, but we're going to get back to that. Dr. Dominique, is it Dominique? Am I saying that right? I don't see your name on the screen anymore. I'm sorry.
Yes. Greetings and great day, ladies. So I'll start by saying everything in divine order. And I'll follow that up by saying I do have an honorary doctorate degree. And that is how I've been operating in the world. And from my perspective, for me, this is all about what you value. So I've lived on both sides of the discussion. And while I am a rigorous scholar and have graduated from an amazing institution, have developed quite notable career, and have given back to my community along the way, it was bestowed upon me. So in my journey and in my success and in how I know I'm blessed in my endeavors, things come to me. And this was something that came to me primarily because of the work I had been doing in my community for over 10 years. So prior to learning about doctorates, I did my own research and I'm like, oh, there's more than one doctorate. So let's start there. There's earned, there's honorary, there's different types of doctorates. And based on what you value and the systems that you value, I think that's where the discussion starts to diverge. Because if we are trained and conditioned within the American educational system, then there's a value on PhDs compared to other diplomas and degrees. It's a hierarchy. And there is value there because there is an investment. There's an investment of time, there's an investment of energy, there's an investment of truly giving your all in order to accomplish this grand feat of completing research and contributing to the academic field for an institution. And then you come out and yes, you defend. Yes, you've got hours under your belt. Yes, you've got a certain expertise that you've mastered. And if you value that route, then it's meaningful to you. However, for me, again, it was bestowed upon me. I had been doing work in the community for years. I had invested in myself and my business for years to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. I had been doing my own research in my field. I had been giving back based on my research to my community. I had been training others in the work that I do. So it was, for me, my journey in my life that someone sought me out and thought me worthy enough to bestow such an honor. And I gladly accepted because what's for me is for me. And when it came time to share this with the world and decide how I wanted to put it out there, I don't feel any way about marketing myself as Dr. Dominique Reese, especially when I have full transparency around it. So when people are like, oh, so what do you practice? I'm very quick to make it clear and make it known where my degree is from, why I have it, and what it means, because there's frankly a lack of education about it. I'm not a celebrity. You don't know me from the paint on the wall. And that's probably why, for me, again, based on what you value, this becomes a values discussion. Because I don't always just value American educational systems. And I think, again, when you're Black in America and you create your own school and nobody knows your school, and it's like, well, what is this school? And why are they doing this? Well, I mean, start your own school. And then go that route to understand why one would do that. And yes, it makes sense to target the celebrities for the obvious reasons. But I think too, when you want to recognize someone for the work that they've done, and it doesn't necessarily fit within the American educational system, this is one way that you can do that. So those are my initial thoughts.
Okay, so you made a lot of really good points, and I want to address some of those points. So first, before I do that, I'm going to give my 2 cents on the situation. And some of them will probably address some of your points. So when I was getting my doctorate, first I had to make the choice and decisions that I want to do it. It was a 5 to 7 year commitment. So I'm a single mom, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. Is this something that I want to do? And also, how does it help me? Like, I'm an entrepreneur. Do I really need a PhD? And I decided that I did because it was going to help me be better at what I do. I work with Black entrepreneurs who are up against all the woes that Black businesses deal with. And so my PhD is in performance psychology. And so I am able to now, based on my research, help Black entrepreneurs operate at a high level, backed by science. And so that's what made me decide to go and get this PhD. During this process, there were many days and nights I'm literally balled up in the corner crying. It's frustrating, it's hard, it takes you away. The process itself is ridiculous. And then to have to defend and just go through all of that. Now, while I'm in the process, let's say I'm about 3, maybe 4 years in, no, like 3.5 years in. And a group of my peers, like 20 of them, 20, 30 of them, all went to this particular school and became doctors. Like, just one day they weren't doctors, and then the next day they're all doctors. No schooling. They didn't show up for anything. They paid the school, whatever they paid the school. I heard it was like $2,500. That's what I heard. I could be wrong, but the grapevine said it was like $2,500. And all 20 or 30 of these people became doctors. That was the moment that I decided that I don't care about somebody's honorary degree if you got it in that manner, where you show up and say, this is what my life's work is. You pay a fee and they give you a degree, right? Those types of honorary degrees I can't support. I just cannot. Now, that does not say that the value of an honorary doctorate there is no honor or value, as Dr. Dominique said, right? When you think about, somebody said a Maya Angelou or Angela Bassett, or somebody who has taken the time by way of their life to add value to a subject matter and industry, that I get, because that's what we do as doctors. We're doing research to go and find something. We're going to go find an answer. We're going to go add value to a specific subject matter. So when people do that with their life's work unintentionally, meaning they're just showing up doing what they do, that's who they are, they're working, and people find them, like what Dominique said. She said she was minding her business, doing her own thing, and somebody said, I see you, sis. I see you doing great work, and we want to honor you. I'm okay with that. I can get down with that kind of an honor, that kind of a doctorate, because you're living the research that I had to go and read and find the knowledge of. I can't support the honorary doctorates that are based on celebrity, that are based on buying them, that are based on notoriety, because I don't think that there's honor in honoring celebrityism or likes and numbers and things of that nature without actually adding value to the thing that you're being honored for. Now that's yes, somebody said Cicely Tyson, exactly, things like that. With that being said, the next piece of the conversation becomes, should honorary doctorates be called doctor, right? So I'll come back over to you, Dr. Alicia.
I think it would be dishonest for an honorary doctorate to call themselves a doctor because, for the public. So this is a PSA announcement for everybody. Listen, all of the work that it takes at an accredited institution to give somebody a doctorate degree, it's more than just doing the work. It's socializing you into a field. Getting a PhD means you've done original research. It means that there's a committee of people in your field who has trained you. I took 6 statistics courses. I took all of these courses in original research. So my dissertation, it's published. You can go and get it. It is a study that has never been done before. So it was a unique piece of information that I was able to deliver. And so because of that, I got a doctorate, right? And I can go to a university and I can teach. So I really agree with Dominique. When you talk about, yeah, I've done the work too, and I've done wonderful things in my community. And I think that is so beautiful. And you could still walk around with that honor. But I think for the public, we need to make it clear that this is an honorary doctorate because of the hard work that I've done. This is not the same thing as an actual student who's gone through a rigorous PhD program, a system to get their honorary degree. And I do agree, Lene, sometimes there's these diploma mills where you just sign up, you pay money, and there you go. So the PSA announcement I want to give the public is that if you do come in contact with someone who's calling themselves a doctor, take this as a lesson to ask questions. Say, how long was your PhD program? Where did you go to school? If tell me about your educational level. What did you do your dissertation on? And ask some questions if you're going to work with someone, just to make sure that you can say, okay, so if someone says they got their PhD in less than a year, then that should raise awareness that, maybe that person is not really presenting themselves as they do. So I think the issue is that just for the public, for you guys, just ask the questions, and for all of us to be very transparent in the type of program that we've gone through and what we've done to achieve and to earn even honorary doctorates, or even a doctorate, where you go through all of this rigorous steps to get a PhD. So that's just the message I just want to say. It's not worthy or not worthy. It's for the public to be able to know exactly who they're working with and what they went through to get their degree.
Good job. Good job. So let me let everybody know what we're doing in this room today. Today we are talking about the reality Housewives star Sheree Whitfield and her second honorary degree. And we're just kind of going through, what the public is saying, giving some of our opinions about it, being that some of us have doctorates. One of us has an honorary doctorate. Constance Carter has her PhD, and if you know her, you already know what that means. This is Fly Nubian Money. We are here every Monday through Friday at 1:00 p.m. Eastern. You can catch us live here. You can also find us on Spotify. If you go over there, you want to search for Fly Nubian Money. If you like to get notified that we are live Monday through Friday at 1:00, you can text the word Queens to 87948. Constance, I want to come to you because you do market a PhD, right? Public high school degree. Do degrees matter to you? And what I mean by that is this. We can all come up with a name or a title. I have my PhD, public high school degree, or my real PhD. Or if you have a homegirl that's a friend that's gone to school and she gets her PhD, does that matter? In your view, in your eyes, does it matter? Are you going to call her doctor? You're not going to call her doctor? Does it matter to you?
No, I mean, if I can call an honorary doctorate a doctor, then you can call me a doctor for having my public high school diploma, my PhD. But I would say no, the degrees don't matter. Listen, I'm sending all of my children to college, and it's something that I didn't do, but I'm not sending them there for necessarily the degree. I mean, one of my kids wants to be a lawyer, so he actually needs to go to college, but I don't believe you have to go to college or you have to have a degree to make money. I was very clear, and I'm very clear on why I send my kids to college. It was really for the experience. It was really to grow them up. It was really to network. It was really to expand. You know, when they came home by the first year, when they went out, when they came home by Thanksgiving, they were totally different human beings. So, and I paid for, at least for my daughter, I paid, you know, $120,000 out of pocket for her to have that experience. And she graduated with a marketing degree, and she learned more working for me for 6 months than she did in the 4 years that she had went to the school that she had went to. But the most that she learned from that is just, you know, the experience of being, you know, at an HBCU. And that's, I was very clear about that. So no, do I believe that? I mean, I've made millions of dollars with a PhD, a public high school diploma. So no, I don't believe that it's necessary. Absolutely not.
Awesome sauce. So, Dr. Dominique, why did you decide to go with doctor? I guess everybody, it's everybody's right. What made you decide to use the doctor in front of your name? You don't. So, and then let me ask you this: with the honorary, can you put PhD behind your name, or do you have to go with doctor in the front?
Well, no, you don't have a PhD, so you shouldn't put PhD if you're not a PhD.
Okay.
For me, it was more about marketing. It's marketing how I've been serving. I mean, again, I don't have a perspective that is one that just values the American educational system in a way that limits me. I do believe that what was given to me was for a reason. And part of my ignorance when it happened, because again, I wasn't looking for it. So in educating myself, I thought, oh, okay, this is different. And how else would I let people know? But at the same time, there were years where I didn't use it because I was feeling conflicted. And at the same time, I thought, well, you know, I'm a woman of God, I'm a woman of faith. Well, Father, sometimes you get things that you didn't know you were going to get in a way you didn't expect it to come. I've always wanted to get my PhD because I want to teach on a college level. And so that's still a part of my career trajectory. But once it happened, I realized this is one of those things that you can or cannot. Dominique Reese is not caught up in titles. It is something that I have. And just like anything else that I have, I market that. So I didn't, for me, see a reason not to. And because I caught heat and I caught people who, you know, either wanted to report me or felt like I wasn't who I said I was. And in that, I thought, well, do what you need to do. Because once you research me, you go see I'm legit. That I don't have any fear around it. I've put in my work. I've graduated from an amazing university. I'm licensed. I'm credentialed. Like everything I say I am, I am. So I don't lump myself even into the category of people like these celebrities going to get their, that ain't me. I am me. I operate in my lane. And for the people that I serve, the same way no one has ever questioned the grades I got at my institution, they've never questioned the credentials I have. People don't ever ask me, except for those, the one or two that I get, what type of degree. And I think that's a great question to ask. Not necessarily like where I got it from, because I'll tell you all of that. But once you start asking the questions, I am very transparent. And at the same time, you can do your research on me, do your due diligence the same way you would with anyone that you're working with. And for me, operating in the world with the people that I serve, you could take doctor off and it would not make a difference. So it is for me a way to market as well as a way for me to identify the accomplishments that I have. And once you get a bit more curious and you start asking me questions, no problem. No problem whatsoever. And again, I'm legit with it. So you're going to see consistency amongst how I market myself, whether it's on my LinkedIn, whether it's on my resume, whether it's on my website, nothing to hide here. So I don't have the fear of the backlash anymore. In the beginning, I did because I went through it. But as I grew in my own understanding about how I show up in the world and how I serve and the things that I do, this ain't that. And I don't even value certain things within the American educational system the way others will, because frankly, I had to put in 10 years to even be recognized for the work that I was doing. So they had requirements, and I went through interviews and I went through assessments, and I don't know about these other schools, but I know what I went through. And to the extent that I also am highly educated, even without my doctorate, right? To me, the investment that I've made in myself as a full-time entrepreneur, as someone who, again, there's committees and you've got to defend. Well, for me, my committee is the market. Because as a full-time entrepreneur, if the market don't want what I want or don't want what I'm selling, guess what? I don't make money. The rigor in which I build my business is required on me having a very focused and savvy understanding of entrepreneurship, in a way, again, that while it's not my research I'm doing for an institution, it's research I do for my business. It's research I do for my livelihood. It's research I do for the books that I write. It's research I do for the courses I build. It's when I'm getting hired as a contractor because of my expertise. It's because of those things that, for me, that's why I'm being recognized. I'm not, and that investment,
so you're saying
it's
that
just that.
based on that research is why you use the term doctor. That's what ultimately that's what you're saying.
No, it's not about the research for me. It's about everything.
So
and it's just really about my recognition. It's a way to market my accomplishment in that way.
Okay, great. Okay, so let's go to the slide about the percentages. Let's see how many people have these degrees. So with regards to PhDs, so doctorate degrees conferred in 2021 by race and ethnicity. So white students accounted for 63.36%, Asian and Pacific Islander students accounted for 13%, Black students, I'm going to put only, accounted for 10%, Hispanic students accounted for 9.65%, and American Indian and Alaska Native students accounted for 0.41%. Is there another slide after this one? I will say that only 2% of people in the United States, it's either 2% or less than 2% of people in the United States have a doctorate degree. And I think it is something like less than 3 or less than 4% in the world. So when we're talking about having a doctorate, it is an exclusive, private group that you should feel extremely proud about being in. If you really do the work and you work hard to be in it, when you see a celebrity, or I'm going to just say celebrity because I'm going to say somebody who didn't earn it. Let's just say that somebody who didn't earn it, or a celebrity. It's like you're playing in my face right now, right? And Dr. Dominique brought up a good point when she was talking about the credentials. Because it comes back, but it comes down to is how do you know who earned it and who didn't earn it? How do you know whose is honorary and whose was granted because they actually did the work? Really, you don't know that unless you're walking around saying, well, where did you do your work, or what is your dissertation, or this and the other. From a public perspective, if we didn't know that who Sheree was and that her degree was honorary, we wouldn't know because she slapped doctor in the front of her name. And so now people would just walk around calling her Dr. Sheree Whitfield without really knowing if she earned it or she didn't earn it. Dr. Alicia, what did you do? How did you get your PhD? What was that criteria? What was that process like?
Yeah, so I got a PhD in social work. That's my field. And I was already a licensed therapist. And that's when I decided to go back and get a PhD. A PhD, doctorate of philosophy, is a research degree. So like I talked about before, I did original research through a committee of my experts in my field. And so they reviewed and made sure the rigor was there. So that's what's great about when you do research and you publish in research article journals. There is a peer-reviewed process. So I'm an editor of the International Social Work Journal. So I spend a lot of time in the summers just reading through submitted manuscripts. And I go through and I make sure that the methodology is rigorous, that everything there, the statistics add up, because I have a master's degree in statistics. It's a research degree, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of training to understand statistical analyses, even qualitative work. All of that is empirical information. It's been checked. This is information that is used. So that's just to let people know, in a nutshell, what it takes to get a PhD. And I want to say something about those statistics. Of all the PhDs, 10% are Black students. I want to say something about that. 9% of those students have a doctorate degree in education. So they have an EDD. So a lot of Black students who are getting a doctorate degree, a lot of times it's an EDD. So that's like a doctorate in education. But 1%, maybe 1.5%, because I've ran the numbers, 1.5% of Black students get an actual PhD, doctorate of philosophy. So it is very rare. So what I want to say here, the big takeaway is that if you come across an African-American person with a doctorate in philosophy and they've done the work, you need to treat them like a unicorn, because it is very rare. It took a lot of rigor. Most people who start PhD programs don't finish. I would say in my PhD program, there was 5 Black students. I'm the only Black student that graduated with a PhD, and it was not easy. I sat at tables that was very difficult. I have been in some uncomfortable situations, right? So I have a lot of passion about this because we are rare. And it doesn't, I agree with Dominique, who says, look, it's educational system. You know, don't believe in educational system. You don't believe in title. I love that. But the honest thing to do in recognizing what it takes to have a PhD is to present yourself accurately. And I think it's beautiful to say, hey, I have an honorary doctorate, but I'm not going to go by doctor because I did not do the work and the rigor to earn the title of doctor, because you want to make sure that you're coming across to the public honestly. And I think that's the biggest thing. It doesn't mean that you're less than. It means that you can still have a PhD in the streets, or a PhD or whatever it is, PhD of whatever. It's beautiful. That's beautiful. But as long as you make that very clear to the public so that they know who and what they're dealing with and what it takes to get a doctorate. Now, I'm a therapist. I didn't need to have a doctorate. I was a licensed therapist when I started my PhD program. It's a research degree. I did not need to have a PhD to earn to become a therapist. I was already a therapist, but I've got some research behind me. And so that's just what gives me a PhD and a therapist. So there's a lot of individuals out there saying, I'm a relationship expert, but they're not a therapist. You can't call yourself a therapist until you have a license. So, I mean, we can get into that if you want to, but, just PSA announcement, public service announcement about knowing, because you're spending your money and you're putting your trust in somebody who's giving you a service. And if you have a PhD or not, that doesn't mean that they're not giving you the best service. But I think it's just important to just educate the public so that they understand what they're paying for, because someone can say, oh, this person has a PhD. I think that it's worth, me paying for this. So I think it's just important to just be very transparent and very honest with titles. Yes, titles don't connect to your worth, but titles say I was trained and I went through all of this. So we need to make that clear. So,
I got a question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, really quick. So what were the statistics on ethnicities who had honorary doctorate degrees? We had on honorary. These are real doctorate degrees. Do we have one on honorary doctorate degrees as well? Because my question is, if us as African Americans don't have as many, and white people have been doing this for a long time. Is it only a problem because now in recent times that Black people started getting more honorary doctorate degrees, and now it's kind of been pushed out in the forefront, or celebrities, has that kind of cheapened the idea of having an honorary doctorate degree? Because I remember when it was definitely something sacred. I know a lot of Dr. George Fraser, he does not have a degree, but I would certainly call him Dr. George Fraser, right? Because he's put in a lot of work. So there are certainly people of that caliber and magnitude that I think that deserve that title. But now I just think that they just handing them out to everybody. So is it because it's more Black people getting it, or is it because of the celebrities, or what are you guys' thoughts on that?
That's actually a really good question, because you don't see honorary degrees being handed out like candy bars in other communities. You only see it in our community. So it's almost like as soon as we really start making way in a particular area, then they say, oh, well, everybody should have it. Well, that's not
like
right.
Oprah. Everybody, you get a doctorate degree, you did a degree, you did a degree.
Right? But to that same point, then to that same point, it cheapens it for the people who actually earned it to get that honorary doctorate, right? So you do have the people who actually earned it through their life's work. Like, they really should have it. But because they're giving them out to anybody and everybody and you can buy them, it messes it up for everybody, right? So it messes it up for the people who earned it by way of doing the research and doing it. It messes up for the people who earned it by way of their life and their personal research, because now anybody can go and get one.
And it depends on if you're in the Good Boys Club, or if you're not in the Good Boys Club, because as soon as you fall down, they're snatching those honorary doctorates back. And what does it really mean? It's just symbolism. It's symbolism. It's saying you're in the good person's club, you're the good guys club, and then they snatch it back, and that means you're not in the good person club anymore. So it's giveth and taketh away. So that in and of itself kind of cheapens it. People due diligence, right?
I think those are the layers to it as well, because I've had an honorary doctorate degree for 10 years. This isn't new for me. It may be new for a lot of people, which is why we're having a discussion today. And when I got it, again, I had already been doing the work for a minimum of 10 years, which was one of the requirements for me to get it. So to see it being trendy because it's amongst celebrity, I think it's still a discussion that's in the clouds a bit, because to the extent that any average person is about to do anything with a celebrity, to that extent, what does it matter? But to the extent that it trickles down to the public, and it trickles down to people who, like me, you don't know me from the paint on the wall, but the diligence that you as a consumer shouldn't change. The diligence, because you have people with PhDs who are still disingenuous. You have people who are still unscrupulous. You have people who do not deal in integrity. You have some people who aren't as smart, even as they may claim to be with the doctorate. You have some people who aren't as successful. So it's, again, for me, it comes down to, what do you value? And if you value working with someone who has a higher education degree, I would assume you have a system by which you vet the people you work with. And it doesn't matter who that person is, whether they have some fame, whether they have some popularity, or whether they're a fly on the wall. I would expect you to do the same diligence that you would want to do before you make an investment with someone and decide to work with them, or decide to follow them, or decide to create any engagement with them. So to Dr. Alicia's point, as a savvy consumer, that shouldn't change. Yes, if you want to say, okay, well, the honorary doctorate degree recipients shouldn't market themselves as doctor, that's not a thing for me either. Cool, even if it became a rule. And it still doesn't change the way in which consumers should vet and be responsible and savvy when working with someone. So I think and then again, we're talking about celebrities at this point, and now it is a discourse for the masses, because we're seeing the proliferation within our community. Well, for me, that's also another thing. Why are we seeing that proliferation within our community? So I think it's, For me, it comes down to what do you value? And based on your values, that's how you're going to operate in the world when it comes to choosing a professional with whom you want to work with.
Oh, sorry, I put myself on mute. I was getting ready to talk. So this is Fly Nubian Money. Today we're talking about reality housewife star Sheree Whitfield receiving her second honorary degree, now using the title doctor. What does it mean? Are honorary degrees and or doctorate degrees sacred? Do they lose their value if it wasn't doing bunny ears by earned? This is Fly Nubian Money. You can catch us having these types of conversations and a variety of different types of conversations Monday through Friday at 1:00 p.m. If you would like to be notified when we are live, you can text the word Queens to 87948. Again, that's Queens to 87948. If you do not catch us live, you can also find us on Spotify. If you go to Spotify, look for Fly Nubian Money and you will find us. You can also go to flynubianmoney.com to get some tools and resources on financial literacy. I want to go to the chat. Egged on says, why would someone who earned a PhD feel cheapened by an honorary degree? They aren't equal. God, that's such a great question and comment. And the reason why is there is no, and Dr. Alicia, please.
I love the honorary degree idea.
The reason why is because from a credentialing standpoint, Dr. Dominique, you're the only person here, so I have to use you right now. I apologize. If me and Dr. Dominique were in a room and we're standing side by side and somebody says, hey, nice to meet you, Dr. Javette. Hey, nice to meet you, Dr. Dominique Reese. That's all they know. Doctor, right? But she knows her doctorate is honorary. I know my doctorate is from my school. Only we know, right? So does it cheapen it if the person who I'm dealing with and talking to does not know? I think is the question that you ask. It cheapens it from the perspective of the work that's done, from the perspective of a lot of the things like she was talking about from the marketing perspective. There are certain perks and things that come with having a degree. Sometimes it's knowledge-based. Sometimes it is the money, because when I became a doctor, you can believe my price point, my ticket price went up. How I show up and what I do is different. So if I'm going for something as someone who went to school, got their PhD, and somebody else is going for something, other than the fact that each person and party knows how they got their degree, the person sitting on the other side does not. So it then becomes to appear to be the same, unless you physically, because nobody asks about for credentials. Nobody's going to say, is your degree honorary or did you go to school? They don't do that. All they say is doctor. So that is, in my opinion, how it cheapens it. There's no rigmarole. There's nothing that differentiates an honorary doctorate from an earned doctorate. There's nothing. It's just doctor. There's no H doctor or H whatever. It's just they appear to be the same. What do you think, Dr. Alicia?
Yeah, they appear to be the same, but I do think to earn an honorary doctorate, I mean, sometimes it's just how much money you donate and then they give you this title. But I also think it's someone like Bill Cosby, who created the Cosby Show. He worked with Alvin Toussaint. He worked with James Comer. He worked with PhDs and doctorate in child development, and he created what their research and the things that they have learned. He created all of that and incorporated that into his show, The Cosby Show, to make sure that he was teaching the public relevant research-based information about how children operate, what are typical problems, how to address it, all of those things he incorporated into his show, and he's donated a lot of money as a result, right? So it's a perfect reason why he would get an honorary doctorate. And I just think that it's okay. It's okay to have an honorary doctorate and not use the doctor title. Just say, I have an honorary doctorate, and just talk about what that means. It's just like have you seen those pharmaceutical companies where they'll have somebody dressed in a lab coat and they're talking about, and then at the end they'll say, an actor at the end, right at the bottom. But they know that the public, when they see somebody stand there with a lab coat for marketing reasons, they know that their pharmaceuticals, their sales, because they do research on it, right? Their sales go up when someone presents to them with a stethoscope and a lab coat, and they're relaying this information. They know that the public is going to listen to that a little more closely because they're associating subconsciously with a physician telling me about what drugs I need to take, right? I don't know. Is it manipulative? Is it ethical or moral to do that? But it's what it's done in terms of marketing to get people to give you more credibility. Put a lab coat on and a stethoscope and just get up there and just spew this stuff off, and you're just reading from a script, So it's just, it's just something that I think that, it's a really sticky thing. And I'm glad we're talking about it today, because now everybody knows now what the intricacies are.
I've had this conversation multiple times behind closed doors. Constance, I got to ask you this question.
Yeah.
Do you think that doctor makes you, because I almost feel like this conversation around honorary versus earned, it becomes, do you think you're better than, or are you smarter, or like there's this, like we're dancing around it, we're tap dancing around it. So what do you think when you see the word doctor in front of somebody's title? Does it make you feel some kind of like, are they better? How do you feel when you see doctor versus when you don't see doctor? Does it matter?
Yeah, it matters. And when I see someone with a doctor in front of their name, I think they're pretty smart. I think that they've done a lot in order to earn it. I automatically, I don't go to honorary. I automatically go to, oh, these people put in some work to get this degree. So, but now that they're handing them out like BBLs, it's just like, okay, now I got to start asking questions. Doctor, what did you do your dissertation on, Dr. Alicia? Dr. Like what, I need to start asking some questions, because and they're just, they really are. They're just flying off the shelf. Someone said that they're in the comments about them giving out 200 or 2,000 fake degrees every year. There's just it's a lot of, and then with the introduction of AI, who knows what's going to come down the pipe, right? And so for all of you that have put in all that work and all those hours and balled up in the corner, like you said, Dr. Lene, like I feel bad for you, because I'm kind of on the fence about going and buying me one, and then I could be called Dr. Constance, and then I'm rolling right with you. So when we're sitting on a panel, they introducing all of us as doctors, and y'all can't say nothing about it.
That's the whole truth, right? Somebody in the comments says Dr. Dre has some explaining to do. I can't with the comments. Y'all are hilarious. So that brings me to the point that we were kissing up on this point, but we didn't get all the way to it. What is the honorary degree worth if it could be taken away, right? We're talking about all of the people who have been given honorary degrees. Diddy's been given one, was recently taken away. Bill Cosby's was given one, was recently taken away. If somebody can give you this honor and take it away, is there value? I think that's the question. Dr. Dominique, I'm gonna give this question to you. Because
I mean, I guess on the surface you would say no, because
wait, to your point, you have earned it, right? Through your life's work, the work that you've done, how you contributed to be an entrepreneur. So in theory, you have done the work, and then you were honored for this work that you have done. And then for somebody to then come back and say, well, you know what, for whatever case, we're going to take this honor back from you. Does that then take away from the hard work that you did leading up to that honor that you got in the first place?
Absolutely not. And again, for me, it's going to sound like a broken record, but this is where, for me, how I show up in the world matters. What I value matters. I value it because it was bestowed upon me. But if you choose to take it from me, okay. It won't change how I'm showing up in the world. It won't change the work that I've done. It won't change what I'm going to continue to do. I'm the unicorn, if I will, about how I show up with my honorary. I've had it for so long. It doesn't mean it's a thing, but it's not a thing. Again, I think the relevance of rescinding an honorary is only because of the celebrity attention. If I got my honorary doctorate degree rescinded, you wouldn't know, you wouldn't care. So for me, the relevance is because of the celebrity associated with it. And okay, if someone truly earned it, and this is again where the education comes in, to where people didn't know it even existed in terms of the masses. Well, there's like 4 doctorates. There's the earned doctorate, there's the honorary doctorate, there's the research doctorate, and then there's higher doctorates where you don't necessarily have a designation or a abbreviation behind it. So just getting educated about what's out there may change the landscape, so that when you see doctor, maybe you do want to ask, well, what type of doctorate do you have? And you are, to Constance's point, now you have to ask. It changes the landscape. And so it reminds me in terms of rescinding things of like military. I work with veterans a lot in the work that I did, and I would come across a lot of veterans who were honorably discharged or dishonorably discharged. And there's this dichotomy of like, well, you put your life on the line and then some stuff went down. I don't know what went down, but they deemed you no longer worthy to receive your benefits. And it's kind of like, well, dang, okay. Is that, how do you feel about that? Well, you can't do things and not have consequences, but at the same time, uh, that's that doesn't seem right. The rescission of something you've worked hard for. In this landscape, for me, it's just not that serious. And I'm not a celebrity. So I don't even attach that attention because I don't get that level of attention. And I operate with scruples and I have integrity. So I don't put myself in the same lane as others because that's not how I am. That's not how I show up. I can only validate the experience that I've had and how I show up with the people I serve. And then again, to the extent that whether it's my college education, the credentials that I do have, no one has questioned me because of how I show up. And when they ask me, so what kind of doctorate do you have? I have an honorary doctorate. It's not earned. Oh, okay. What does that mean? It gives me an opportunity to educate. So,
Actually, that's a great question, because I see it in the chat. The producer's asking, everybody in the chat's asking, what did you do for the 10 years leading up to getting the honorary doctorate? What work were you doing that got the recognition to receive it?
So as of today, I run a financial services firm, a virtual financial planning and services firm. I started my career in finance in 2002. I've been doing what I do in finance for 20 years around financial education. So I started teaching kids about money at 6 years old. That's where I kind of got introduced to teaching about money after having been a financial advisor, got laid off, started my own business. And the business was around education because as an advisor, I would do workshops for the wealthy on, how to protect your portfolio in a down market. But the people who were coming were not my millionaire clients. Instead, they were average, hardworking people who had no assets, had tons of debt, had moderate income, no savings, but were not my ideal clients. So I could not work with them because they did not have $250,000 in investable assets. But what they did have was a desire to learn the same strategies that I was teaching the wealthy. And so when I got laid off, I thought, well, I don't want to go back into sales. Instead, I'd rather teach my people about this because there's no market for it. No one's reaching the middle American market around this stuff. So that's what I did. Started teaching about money. I started going into my community, pounding the pavement, literally cold walking, working with nonprofits. And then as my name got out there, people started to reach out to me to come and teach, to come and do workshops. And that's kind of how I started to build my career. Then I started my business in New York at the time. Start doing financial coaching. At the time, I didn't even know what it really was, but helping people with a budget, a savings strategy, a debt reduction strategy, the basics that, again, at that time, nobody was doing this work outside of a nonprofit. And even in a nonprofit, you couldn't go and get this kind of support. It was either like mediation and counseling, like let's stop the bleeding, but active, proactive, helping people with their basics around money, educating the community, and kind of doing it every single day. That was my livelihood. So I built my business around teaching for free to the point where I start leveling up. Oh, do you have a budget? Can you pay me to do this? And then I started a business around it. But that was the groundwork that I put in. And then I came to California, which is where I'm from. I'm from LA, got back to Cali and started to do the exact same work. But this was at a time when financial education wasn't wasn't main street discourse. The nation wasn't focused on it. Nobody was really talking about it in that way 20 years ago.
So
And so,
question. So when they found you, they seen the work, they say
yeah.
we would like to bestow this honor on you. What happened? What was the criteria at that point? You said you had to do some interviews and some different things. So what did that
Yeah,
look
so for this particular university, it's a Black-owned university down in Florida, and you go through some interviews with the staff, the faculty of that university. You did an assessment. I had to submit some things, my resume, essay questions, basically kind of answering for them why I would be a good fit for this, how I would use it, what would be the benefit of having this bestowed. So now it was kind of an exchange, a fit thing, not just like, oh, we choose you. And it was, I won't say it was required, but it, after you go through all of your interviews and the assessments and you make it past certain rounds, which for me was the assumption that I could not have made it past certain rounds. You get to the end and they ask for a donation. And so I'm like, well, my university asked for a donation. This ain't nothing different for me, and I believed in this school as well. I love the work that they were doing. So for me, the values were there. We aligned around values, and that was it. I made my donation. They, notified me that I was accepted, and that was that. There was a ceremony. Well, because it was back in 2014. I didn't go to my ceremony right away. I had some family things going on, so I didn't technically walk the stage, but I still had my degree bestowed upon me. And that was it. Every year I might do some things with the school. They would have conferences and things like that. So this school for me was active and in the community, and there are some pretty big names attached to the school. So, for me, that was my experience. And again, at that point, one of the requirements was they were looking for candidates who had already had a 10-year contribution to their field or the community. So for me, that's why I was recognized, because of the fact that I had been doing the work I was doing for over 10 years at the point in which they found me. And I believe they found me through a mentor of mine because she recommended me. So it was kind of cold, not a cold lead.
Did you know about the donation before the application, or did they tell you about the donation at the end of the process?
No, I honestly, I don't remember, because I didn't know anything about it at that time. So I was just kind of going through it. They very well may have mentioned it in the beginning, but I can't remember those details. I don't think so. And even if they did, it wasn't a thing for me. So
Okay.
by the time I got to the end, it was like, oh, okay, sure. It didn't shock me, or it didn't feel scandalous to me.
Gotcha. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and start closing out our session today. But I saw a comment that asked about honorary degrees that we're taking. I know we mentioned some of the Black ones, and we showed the screen with the Black ones. And somebody was like, well, what about the white ones? So of course, we got to keep it balanced. So some non-Black celebrities who have had their honorary degree taken include former President Trump, Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein, as well as the athlete Lance Armstrong. They were all given honorary degrees and have since had them taken back. What a great conversation that we have had today. Oh my goodness. I'll save my final thought for last. I'm going to go around the room, let the queens give us their final thoughts, as well as tell you where you can find them when they're not here with us on Fly Nubian Money. So we'll start with you, Constance. Your final thought, and tell people where they can find you.
I'm Dr. Constance Carter, PhD, public high school diploma. You could find me on I Am Constance Carter on Instagram and on Facebook and on YouTube at CC the CEO. I'm a wealth activist, and my my passion and my goal is to help Black women from all over the country. I do what's called the Net 7 Collective, where I coach and train Black women on how to increase their net worth by at least $1 million. So if you had $1 million, we're going to get you $2 million. But I do that in various ways and various investment strategies. Basically, I show them the things that I've learned to increase my net worth, and I expose them to a lot of great thought leaders from all over the country. And then we implement some things inside their lives, and I coach them in a very secure and safe space where not only are they growing their money, but they're growing their knowledge and their wisdom. And it's just a great community. So we are accepting applicants for our 4th cohort. The goal this year is to help 100 Black women increase their net worth to $1 million at least. So if you are interested, go to bookwithconstance.com.
Awesome sauce. Dr. Dominique, final thoughts on where people can find you?
Greetings. Again, thank you for having me today. I am on all the platforms under Dr. Dominique Reese, on LinkedIn, Dominique Reese, Facebook. You can reach me on reesefinancialservices.com. That is the website for my virtual financial planning firm. Final thoughts, just, go with what you value. And when you find what you value, have a way in which you vet and make sure that you're, finding people that are a good fit for you. It's based on what you value. So thank you again for having me today.
Thank you for being with us today. Dr. Alicia?
Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Alicia. Thank you for joining us. I am a licensed therapist, so I have to apply to renew my license every 2 years. I have to take courses so that I can stay current on information about mental health and couples. And if you're interested in working with me on the individual level or with you and your partner, you can reach me at coachingwithdralicia.com. You can fill out my intake. I have a PhD in social work. Also, you can follow me on Instagram at Coaching with Dr. Alicia. And this was a great conversation today.
Excellent. Thank you for being here with us today, Dr. Alicia. So Dr. Dominique alluded to this. I'm going to just circle back to it just to make sure that everybody understands. There are 4 different types of doctorates. There's a professional doctorate, which you might see as an ED, a PSYD, a DBA. These are designed for professionals aiming to apply research to practical problems in their field. Then there's research doctorates, which is your PhD and or your scholars, where our degree is more so focused on original research culminating in a dissertation or thesis. That's the kind that I have. Then there's a higher doctorate. These are awarded in some countries for exceptional contributions to a particular field, often after the primary doctorate. So you have to have a doctorate in order to get a higher doctorate. Then you have what's called the honorary doctorates. These are conferred as a mark of esteem without the recipient having completed the usual academic requirements. Again, I want to say that those that earn their honorary doctorate by doing the work, I take my hat off to them, right? I think Constance brought up Dr. George Fraser. Nobody questions Dr. Fraser where he got his degree from. We don't even ask him about his doctorate. You just see him and you say, hey, Dr. Fraser. The same with like a Dr. Maya Angelou, like their work, who they are, how they show up, what they do, it precedes them. So we don't even think to ask it. Also, there's never been a time where academics and or doctorates and or research and or things of this nature have been so widely just handed out. These are things that are sacred, especially if you're a Black person and you have a family member or a child or someone that you know that has gone to school and done the work to become a doctor. It's sacred. Your parent, this is my baby, she's a doctor. Like it matters, right? And so this conversation was not to bad mouth or, pardon my language, shit on people who have an honorary doctorate. It was literally just to showcase the difference between the two, to make sure that we still give honor and I don't want to say we dishonor. So I just want to say that we still honor and appreciate those that have done the work. And we don't elevate celebrities who are literally just showing up, getting likes and numbers and getting these types of acknowledgments. Those like Dr. Dominique, who have done the work personally, individually in their life and through their commitment and sacrifice to the community, hats off to them as well. Okay. I am Dr. Lene Javette. I have been in my doctor for a year. I graduated last year in May. I love it. I love saying it. I'm super ecstatic that I did the work. I belong to a very small community of less than 3% of the population because I've done the work and I've finished it. My work in receiving my PhD is in performance psychology. I specifically researched, talked to Black women to better understand how we can be successful. And so that's what I do every day. I am a business strategist, a monetization coach. I help Black entrepreneurs to triple their revenue. And I do it every day and I love it. And I get to use my degree to do it. So if you've enjoyed today's conversation, last thing, if you want to find me, you see right there, I am Dr. Lene Javette on every single social media platform. That's also my website, www.drlenejavette.com. You can find us here at Fly Nubian Money every day, Monday through Friday at 1 o'clock p.m. right here. If you want to get notified, then text the word Queens, Queens, to 87948. Again, that's 87948. That way you can get notified when these conversations are happening so you can be in the room. If you are working and you can't be in the room, you can also listen to us on Spotify. If you go to Spotify, search for Fly Nubian Money and you will be notified. And last but not least, if you are a queen that wants to get your money right, you can go to flynubianmoney.com and try out free financial resources, courses, and more. And the last thing, get your pen out. If you think you've got what it takes to be a guest queen on Fly Nubian Money, you can email info at realvirtual.net. Real is REEL, like a film reel, virtual.net. If you would like to be a guest queen on Fly Nubian Money, it's open. You can't say you wanted to be on and we didn't let you on. Go email and let them know that you would like to be a guest queen and you too can be featured on one of our panels. So thank you again, everyone, for coming. Thank you, Dr. Constance. Thank you, Dr. Alicia. Thank you, Dr. Dominique. I'm Dr. Lene Javette. This is Fly Nubian Money. We thank you so much for joining us on today. Hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. Continue to have a great day. Be blessed, be beautiful, and be one. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.